Okay, we're learning the sicha of Parshas Acharei, Kedoshim, Tavshin and Aleph, the sicha that discusses the word Geula. Geula in Lashon Kodesh is the word for redemption, and this sicha focuses on explaining. Have a copy? The sicha focuses on explaining the unique thing that you find in the word Geula, that it contains within it all of the letters that Geula has. Which means that in order to bring redemption, Geula, it's not by leaving the matzav of Galus behind and entering into this new world order removed of Galus. The point of Geula is to insert the Aleph into the Geula, so you elevate the Galus itself into redemption. So the question that Rebbe asked, before in the Sicha, we learned it last week, 2 weeks ago, the question Rebbe asked is, we know that when Mashiach comes, there'll be two different time periods. The first Kufa will be Olam Kiman Haganayik. As the Rambam says, like the opinion of Shmuel in the Gemara, the world will be the same nature as today. Elam Hai. All the Melucha in the world will be subjugated to Klal Yisrael. So then, in that time period, we can understand that the purpose is to elevate the Galus itself. But then comes the second Kufa. What happens in the second Kufa? All kinds of Nisim, Isis, and Maivsim, the world will change completely. So if that's the case, Geula is a name for the first Kufa and for the second Kufa, not only for the first. So how can you say that the word Geula that refers to both Kufas includes within it the matzav of Galus? In the second Kufa, when there's miracles and so on, it doesn't include the matzav of Galus. That's the question that I've asked. So we're holding here in the Sicha, where the Rebbe, we're in the middle of Seif Hey. We're going to start on page 509, in the second paragraph of the page, where the Rebbe is discussing the Taich of the Mishnah that we just learned this past Shabbos, Istakel b'shloish dvarim ve'ena tebali de'aveda. And the question the Rebbe asked is, why does the Mishnah have to give a number? Shloish dvarim. You see right afterwards what it is that you have to look at. Mayim basal, anata eilech, lefnei mi'atas l'tn devecheshven. So you see that it's three things. Why is it saying three things? And the Rebbe gave a new pshat in this Mishnah, and that is that when it says Istakel b'shloish dvarim, it's not referring to the three things that the Mishnah lists afterwards. Rather, the Mishnah is saying the three fundamental things a person has to focus on in his life in this world. Number one, ani, I exist. Eibishter created me. Nevreisi, for what purpose? L'shamish eskaini, to serve my master, to serve the Eibishter. That's number two that a person should be thinking of. Or maybe it's really the other way around. The first thing a person should be thinking of is the Eibishter. And then number two, a person should be thinking about himself. And then it's not enough when a person thinks about himself and the Eibishter, but you also have to think about the world that the Eibishter created to bring the kedusha of Torah and mitzvahs into the world. The reason why the neshama comes down into this world is not only to connect himself to the Eibishter, but also to utilize everything he's engaging with in the world to connect it to Hashem. That's number three. Okay, let's finish over here.
That's a better question. Rebbe actually asked that in another sicha.
Yeah.
The Pekiavis is like
Milsa the Chasidusa.
Thank you. So this is not Milsa the Chasidusa. This is actually
the basics of Yiddishkeit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see in the words of the Rebbe here, first inside. And see if the second paragraph of this page here. Apizes verstandig heiras ha Mishnah istakel b'shloish dvarim. Page 509. See it? Second paragraph. Apizes verstandig heiras ha Mishnah istakel b'shloish dvarim. You can understand what the Mishnah is saying when it says that you have to focus and look at three things. What are the three things? Nit kokendik auf dem geidle ilui von der neshama von ayiden chelik chelika mimal mamish. So if you would look just at the fact of who a Yid is, the neshama of a Yid is a piece of Hashem, so you think to yourself, if that's who a Yid is, why should I b'chlal pay attention to a metzias of a world around me? It has no shaykhs to me b'chlal. So da Eibishter, and there's my neshama, which has no shaykhs to the metzias of the world, and that's it. And nothing else is negeya. The Elam Haza Gashmi that Eibishter placed me into, it's a problem. It's adrab. It's something that I have to overcome. It's a struggle that I have to stay away from. But I should engage with the Metzias of the world. If I have a neshama and I have the Eibishter, that's all that matters. So that's what the Mishnah is telling you. In them that a Yid's Aveda does have to also consist of this, As neisef lezeh, was macht von sich allein adire zum Eibishten. In addition to this, that a Yid makes himself into a dwelling for the Eibishter, durch Handplecken seine Neshama in sein Guf HaGashmi, by revealing his own Neshama, that his Neshama should be revealed in his physical Guf. Then ilu ba Neshama was kommt durch dem Areis, there's a tremendous level of the Neshama that's only revealed once it comes into this world. After when the Neshama is in this world and it struggles and has to deal with the physical body, there's actually unplektis to reveal. To reveal a deeper dimension of the neshama, dafke when a person is in this world. But besides this, he has to also take a third thing into account. That the nature of life is that you have to engage with the world. And it's not just a mistake, that's a chelik of the purpose of what the neshama is doing here. To transform the world, the low world that he's in, as the Eilam Atzmei Veret Adira Tzemeivish, to turn the place into a heilige, the world itself should become a heilige world, to become a Dira for the Eibishter. That's what the Mishnah is teaching a Yid. Right, so you were asking about the middle of the Chasidusa. So we spoke about this last week, where the Rebbe said that technically, if a Yid wants, he can live his life in such a oifen that he secludes himself legamri from the world. He just sticks to learning and davening and to himself and his connection to the Eibishter. There's a world around him and there are people around him that need his help, or Gemilas Chesed, or any other way in engaging with the world. He does what he has to connect to the Eibishter. Either people that are lower than him that he could be mashpia nishnageya. So the Mishnah comes and says, no, besides this that you have to do for yourself, for your neshama, there's a third component that you have to take into account. There's a velt around you that the Eibishter placed you in, and there's a reason. This was part of the purpose of creation, to deal with the world around you, and to make the world also into a heilige place. Durch dem, so now through this, the gerecht euch der Adam atzmei zu sein shleimus. So this is not only a side point, but this actually brings the person to his shleimus. In other words, you might think, no, say this, so this is an additional feature of my life. I can be perfect without making a dira b'tachtainim. Me and the Eibishter, a person does his aveda, Torah, mitzvahs, he focuses on his personal connection to the Eibishter without bringing it down to other people around him. There's another thing. I could also choose to then influence and bring it down. So the Rebbe says, no, this itself is relevant and it's significant for your own shleimus, to make your connection complete. Yeah, it's a chelik. It completes your own connection to the Eibishter. This is the quote that Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. This is the whole purpose of creation and the purpose of the creation of the person himself. For a Yid to go down and engage with the world around him is a descent. He has to go down. At least externally, he has to engage with the world around him. And at least temporarily, he has to be involved in the world. This itself, that a Yid comes down and brings getlichkeit and heiligkeit into the world around him, that will elevate the person himself. And what the Mishnah there says is that when you pay attention to these three things, as einat abali de aveda, that you will not come to an aveda. So the Rebbe here teaches what the Mishnah means when it says einat abali de aveda. Again, coming back to the point you said before, that's what Pirkei Avos is coming to teach you, how a person shouldn't be a bal aveda. We don't need Pirkei Avos for that. So the Rebbe is medayik here, geshmak diok, the word lidei aveda. You won't even come to anything that is connected indirectly to an aveda, something that could lead you to an aveda. If a Yid also focuses on bringing the Eibishter into the world, to make a dira for the Eibishter in the world, is stakel b'shloisha dvarim, which is what the Mishnah is saying, is enat bal lidei aveda, afilin itzu lidei. They have sharius to turn on aveda, even a possibility, even any thought or any have a minute to go and do aveda is not going to be possible. The point is, I think what the Rebbe is saying, it's not spelled out so clearly, but it looks like the point that the Rebbe is saying is, as long as the person focuses on his personal aveda with the Eibishter, but the world around him, he ignores, he never engages with that, he never brings the kedusha of Torah mitzvahs into the world, he removes himself from that. So what does that in essence mean? The world around him is something that it still could threaten his connection to the Eibishter. He never worked it out. He never brought that heiligkeit into the world. What happens if he will become exposed and go down into the world? Mitamal, it might hit him and it might bring him lidei aveda. But if a Yid has this takl b'shloisha dvarim, it's not just his connection with the Eibishter, but he also includes the weltishkeit around him to become a heilige welt. So then the welt is not a disturbance. The Welt is part of the purpose. It's part of what Hashem wanted. So therefore, it doesn't even come lidei aveda. That's the chiddush of the rebbe.
Was that the whole argument between the Tzemach Tzedek
And
other Rebbe enough time to defend the Hezbollah? They say you got to build a fence around it and stay away.
That was the argument. I'm not familiar. Yeah, they had that kind of an argument.
No, you don't need a wall.
You have to bring it down into the world.
So basically, what we're saying is, if you seclude yourself, then yeah, you won't come to Naveya. But that's not
necessarily guaranteed, though.
Well, that's not your tafkid.
And true.
But if you make yourself vulnerable and you expose, now you feel that you're vulnerable. No,
correct. But all in the right way. Al pitaira to bring down the kedusha into the world.
Right.
Okay, let's continue. Sivov, coming back to the ois aleph, adding the ois aleph into the geila. Pianal vet mech verstehen der inyan von geula oisi is geila b'teisus aleph. What's the point of the name for redemption in Lashon Kodesh is the word geula, which is essentially taking the whole galus with you and adding an aleph to it. Geula, the idea of redemption, is nit mevatel geila. It's not to annul the situation of galus, nor is in sich kailul geila. It includes all four letters that mean galus. On the contrary, zi hoipt oiv geila, it lifts up this geila, the galus, durch acharei stellen und megala sein in ihr aluf shalaylam, by adding and placing into the galus and elevating it through this aleph, through the eibishter that you put into it. The purpose of creation is to bring the eibishter to make a dwelling in the world below. Including the world that exists now in the time of Galus, which is the lowest situation that the world is in. So that the Eibishter is the master of the world, not the master of Eilam Atzilus. But the Eibishter is here, Lamata, over here in this world. In Tachtainim, b'matzavim, v'zeshtein in Galus. That's the whole purpose of creation. So therefore, the word Geula includes in it the word Geula as well. That is what the Geula is really all about. This is not just a side point about the Geula. This is what the whole accomplishment of Geula is. And this even includes those aspects of the Geula that are seemingly totally removed and unrelated to the matzav of Galus, which the Rebbe right here says, what does he mean? Those changes that are going to happen in the nature of the world, like what does Tchias HaMesim have to do with Galus? How does Tchias HaMesim elevate Galus? Tchias HaMesim is just a nest, totally l'maylam and ateva. It doesn't transform or elevate the Galus itself. But nevertheless, the Rebbe says that every aspect of Geula, if this is the name, if the name of Geula is this word Geula that has in it the Geula, that means even the highest aspects of Geula, which is a miracle that breaks nature, the essence of Geula is always this inyan that we're coming to reach and elevate the Galus itself, not to leave the Galus behind, but to bring the Galus along. The Lashon that Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Perek Lamed Zayin. What's the essence of Geula? To bring a revelation of the Eibishter, which is Ein Sof, into this physical world. Biz as esvert, adira lo yizbarach b'tachteinim lo yilatz musay. Adira for the Eibishter himself, for the essence of the Eibishter himself. And the rebbe, so therefore, is the inyan from Geula, toloi in masein v'avedesena kozman meshach hagolus. What brings about the Geula? It's all dependent on our aveda that we do now in the time of Galus. So this also proves the whole point over here. If you would say that the Geula is this new world order that's totally disconnected to the reality that we live in today, so then that's something that has to come from the Eibishter. It's like a matan Torah. Just like by matan Torah, the Eibishter came and gave a matonim, l'mayla lamata. Even after all the preparation that there was by Sfiris Ha'omer, but Chassidus tells us that when it came to matan Torah and the Eibishter said, Anochi avai lekecha, it was a breakthrough that came l'mayla. Al yoinim yardlo tachtainim. It's not something that we could reach b'chlal. Like it says in Chassidus, when you get to the Shara Chamishim, count 49 days, but when you come to the Shara Chamishim, that comes completely l'mayla. So l'chayre, you would expect that the Geula Asida, which is a revelation similar to Matan Torah, if not even greater, so that's something that comes completely l'mayla. The Eibishter is going to introduce a new revelation. Elokus will be revealed in the world. Break nature as no shaychus to our aveda b'chlal. We can't reach this b'chlal. Nevertheless, what does the Alter Rebbe say in Tanya? No, in order that Mashiach should come, it's totally b'maseinu v'avedeseinu, And here the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe is he adds b'meshech zman hagolus. I mean, this Inyan is, by the time you probably know, is machlekes and Gemara. When you get to Mashiach, so there's machlekes and Gemara between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua, whether Mashiach comes when Yidden do tshuva, or if Mashiach is going to come even without Yidden doing tshuva. Machlekes and Gemara. The Rambam famously paskins, the Rebbe would always mention the words of the Rambam, Yisrael leisen tshuva, miyad ein golem. Right? So Bias a Mashiach is taller in our avodah, in our behavior, in our doing tshuva. That's what it says already in the Rambam. The Alter Rebbe doesn't only say taller by Masena avodah the same. The Alter Rebbe adds, and which type of avodah? The avodah bisman hagolus. So the Rebbe many times was medayik this. So how do you learn pshat what the Alter Rebbe is saying? But Pashtus you would learn. Of course, the Alter Rebbe says bisman hagolus. When else? We are in golus. And so practically speaking, he's talking about our avodah in this time period of golus. But really, it's lav dafka golus. Any avodah in this world of doing tshuva and being a tzaddik is what will bring Mashiach. Point happens to be we're in Golus, so therefore the Alter Rebbe says b'zman hagolus. But the Rebbe would say that no, if the Alter Rebbe says b'meshech zman hagolus, he's not just telling you a matter of fact that we are in Golus, but he's being medayik that it's particularly this type of avodah. The avodah of Golus has a particular nature to it. It's dafke, this type of avodah of zman hagolus that's going to cause the coming of Mashiach. Any other avodah wouldn't. Dafke, this type of avodah. So l'chayre, it's a pella. The avodah b'zman hagolus is a very limited kind of avodah. Einon yichaylan lales v'rirois v'lishtachva is the nusach that we say. Shmei Nesra, Musaf, and Yantif. Our avodah today, we have no giluyim. Our connection is very compromised, very limited. This type of avodah of such simple people now in golus with such darkness, this is what brings Mashiach. So the Alter Rebbe is medayik, yeah, it does. So there's a richizige hasber on this, but here the point that the Rebbe wants to bring out is this connection here. The fact that the word geula includes in it the word gaila, you could also see it in this point that the avodah of galus is what brings geula. The avodah of galus is very powerful. You might sometimes look at our avodah as a very compromised of a kind of avodah, but it's nicht azay. The avodah of galus causes the revelation of the geula. It's a tremendous chiddush. The Aveda from our Einstellen, the Aleph, Alufish Alayla in Gaila. So which Aveda is the Alter Rebbe speaking about over here? This Aveda of a Yid bringing the Eibishter into the matzav of Golus. Whatever darkness a Yid finds himself in Golus, he constantly reveals Getlichkeit wherever he is, wherever he goes. Bis as durch dem wird aufgemacht Gula. To the point that a Yid reveals in every matzav that he is, that it's all the Eibishter, everything is being run by the Eibishter, and the Eibishter is present in everything, and he reveals the Getlicha aspect that there is in everything that he does, he's eating and he's drinking, when he speaks to people, when he meets people, wherever he goes in the street, he says a pasuk in Torah, he speaks to people about Torah mitzvahs, to bring the Aleph into every matzav that a person is in, even if he's out in the street. That's the kind of Aveda that brings Mashiach. So again, biz as durch dem wird aufgemacht geule, reuve oisius, and reish tevas geule is geila. So most of the letters of this word, even the beginning, the gimel, which is the beginning of the word, is geila, is galus. You bring the Eibishter into the galus itself. So this haste, in other words, what this means is neisef lezeh. In addition to this, was the aliyah gedaile from the geule, kommt durch the yedide in galus. In addition to this, that it says in many other places in Chassidus that there's always this rule that in order to come to a greater aliyah, so you have to experience a Yerida first, and every Yerida is Tzarech Aliyah. It brings a bigger revelation. That's a concept. I mean, why it is so is a good shaila, but as is the Metzias, in order to come to a greater revelation, you have to have a greater Yerida first. There's actually a mashal that sometimes the Rebbe brings over here. The Rebbe is not mitzayin to this. But there's a mashal that the Rebbe brings in one place. I think it's from a mimer from Rabbi Hillel Paracher. So he says there an interesting mashal. He says a mashal of a teacher and students. A teacher is teaching an Inyan to his students, and then he realizes that what he's teaching is on a low level, and he wants to teach on a deeper level. But he has to take a moment to go back and to start thinking to himself this idea that he wants to share with his students that's on a much higher level. So what's going to happen? He's going to have to tell his children that he's teaching, or the Talmidim, that have to walk out of the classroom, and he's going to have to trach tzechibber, to go back into himself, into the sugya, and think deeper in order to bring down a deeper idea. So when the teacher walks out of the classroom, in order to be able to get to a deeper place, that's what happens in the time of Golus. There's a revelation in the time of the Bayis Rishon, a revelation in the time of Bayis Sheni. But then, Kaviyachol, the Eibishter is mistalik l'mayla, all as a hachana to bring about a greater Gilui. Every greater Gilui has a certain helem in between, because Gilui means there's a connection between the Mashpia and the Makabel. When the Mashpia wants to draw from an even deeper place, so the Mashpia has to disconnect from the Makabel in order to find a deeper place inside of him to draw down to the Makabel. But in between, the Makabel feels like he's hanging in midair, and the Mashpia is nishdah. What's the emes? The Mashpia never left. He just went to go to a deeper place to bring down an even deeper revelation to him. So that's Bachlal, the Indian that it says in Chassidus, B'nigeya to Golus and Geula, that Dafka Golus, it's not a disconnect. And the Pashtus, I mean, it's also true. There's a concept of Mechatenu Galinu Martzenu, that the Yidden disconnected from the Eibishter, so therefore they went into Golus. But the emes is that the Golus itself is a Yerida, all it's Seirach Aliyah. It's all for the purpose to bring about the revelation of the Geula. And here the Rebbe adds also another point here. Al derech Gilui Teikif Eira Neshama Al Yidei Yiridas Lamata. You also find this Bachlal, everyone knows this, when you get to the Neshama descending into this world, Neshama comes out into the world. Why does the Neshama experience such a tremendous Yirida? Dafka, when the Neshama is here in this world and has to deal with all the challenges that it deals with here, it brings out in the Neshama deeper kaiches. So again, that's another place where you see the Yirida brings about the greater Aliyah. Okay, that's the Inyan that it says in many other places, but that's not the chiddush of this sicha. Because if you learn b'pashtus, Yerida tzarech aliyah, and so on, so what does that mean? The Yerida is sort of a temporary shlav, it's a temporary step that's necessary in order to come to the aliyah. What happens once you come to the aliyah? So that Yerida is gone. When the teacher walks back into the room and now he shares a deeper shir and a deeper idea that the mashpia is giving over to the makabel, so then it stops that hefsek that there was, where the teacher left from the students, and now he's back and he teaches on a higher level. When Mashiach comes, so what happens? The Yerida of Golos that was here is geendigt, and we come to a higher revelation. So if that would be the pshat, even though it's true that the whole purpose of the Golos is only to enable Mashiach to come, but sof, the Yerida, the matzav of Golos itself, never gets elevated into the Geula. It doesn't get elevated. It's a necessary step. It's a painful step. It's a step where you feel like the mashpia is not here, the Eibush is not present. It's a very anachanami. But nevertheless, once the Geula happens, ois Golos, end, finished. The chiddush of this sicha is no. That the whole inyan of Golos is that it's a fulfillment of dir b'tachteinim. If it's a fulfillment of dir b'tachteinim, so that means Golos itself is the matzav of the world in the lowest condition that it is of tachteinim and Golos. And then the concept of Geula is to reveal Getlichkeit in this lowest matzav of Golos itself. It's not just a shlav as a hachana. This here, right here, is the purpose, to bring the Eibishter into the Golos itself.
So in practical terms, when in Yemei Mashiach, how will Golos play its part in Yemei Mashiach?
The same teva of the world as we know it today, and all the pratim of the world, the way the Eibishter created it today, with all the tachteinim and the gashmias, with the gashmias and everything, will be here. But we'll see the gatlichkeit in it. Today, we see the world for its chetzonius. So you see gashmias, what do you see? You see what it is. It's separated from the Eibishter. You don't see, Rebbe, uses a lashon in Torah that when a Yid looks at the world, and he views the world as being a gashmisdige world, separated from a creator, and you don't see any gatlichkeit in it. Lashon of the Rebbe is it's a mekach tos. The whole thing is a mekach tos.
Yeah, we learned it this week.
It's in the Maimon. Look at the Torah. Yeah, exactly. In Parshas Emor, the Alter Rebbe, you learned it over there. Yeah, the Alter Rebbe says it's a mekach tos. So when Mashiach comes, that mekach will be set straight. It's not that it's going to be a different mekach. The same mekach, the same welt, the same mitzias, the same everything. Elamai, our eyes will be opened up. The Eibishter will open up our eyes to see the emes, that we'll see a lakus that there is in the world. The emes is, it's not only the Eibishter will open our eyes, the Eibishter will open up the gashmius itself. It'll be exposed. The gashmius itself will be exposed for the true mitzias that it is.
Will we be able to differentiate between Mashiach and Golos? I mean, if you're saying that Golos is being transcended and brought into Yemei Mashiach, where will there be like a blurred line between the two?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No. When Mashiach comes, it'll be very clear.
Very
It'll be very, very clear. Yeah. Okay, let's just finish the paragraph here. Werd Geula aufgemacht von Geula beteisvis Aleph. Where are we over here? Yeah, Atzma, by adding it into the Golus itself, the Dire Latzmusai, a dwelling for the Eibishter itself, werd aufgetan in Tachteinem Atzma. This is accomplished, this brings about the revelation of the Eibishter in the world itself. Al derech der Iluv werd aufgetan in Neshama. Same thing like it says regarding the Neshama, durch der Dire B'Tachteinem, that this elevates the Neshama to a much higher place. The same is also true, B'Negei to the world B'chlal. Let's finish off with one Ha'ara 53, where the Rebbe explains the Mishnah, the famous Mishnah that's brought in Chassidus so often. When you get to this upcoming Shabbos, we're going to learn Perek Dalet. What does it say in Pirkei Avos? This is also the reason, 53, the explanation for what it says. Just one moment in this world where you could do tshuva, and a yid could do a mitzvah in this world is greater than all of the endless lifetime of Eilam Haba. One mitzvah, one moment of tshuva in this world has more value than everything else. What's the reason for this? Because it's only here in this world that a yid has a kayach, the gilui ha'alef begoila, to reveal the Eibishter in Golus, ba'asiyas dir b'tachtainim, by creating a dwelling for the Eibishter in this world, which is tainug beida. This is the pleasure of the Eibishter. Nisava. The Eibishter says, this is my pleasure, that a Yid does a mitzvah in this world. Shalamayla mikol chaya elam haba. And this is higher than a lifetime of elam haba, which is Tainig Nivra. That's the place where there's a schar that the Eibishter gives for the neshamas to receive from the Aveda that they do. But that's only a level of Tainug that's revealed to the recipient, not the Eibishter's Tainug. Eibishter didn't create the world for Eilam Haba. He created the world for the Dira B'Tachtainim. So Dafke here B'Tachtainim, the Eibishter's Tainug is here in this world. Eilam Haba yeh gilui inyin zeh lamata. And Eilam Haba, which means when Mashiach comes, so then the Tainug of the Eibishter will be revealed here below in this world. So when it says in Pirkei Avos, Mikol Chai Eilam Haba, that refers to Gan Eden. That one moment in this world is greater than endless years in Gan Eden. When Mashiach comes in Eilam Haba, when it will be Tchias HaMeisim, the truth of Eilam Haza Agashmi, the Dira B'Tachtainim of the Eibishter will be revealed in this world. That's the ultimate kavanah which will be fulfilled.
Yeah.